Welcome to Memoirs, Kinship Landing, True Stories Unfiltered. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming and hanging out with us today. Woo, thank you. So why does Memoirs exist? I'm going to read a little excerpt here that my lovely husband, Flip, and business partner has put together as to why Memoirs exist. So storytelling is central to human existence. It's standard to every known culture. It involves a symbiotic exchange between teller and listener, an exchange we learn to negotiate in infancy. Just as the brain detects patterns in the visual forms of nature, a face, a figure, a flower, and in sound, so too does it detect patterns in information. Stories are recognizable patterns, and in those patterns we find meaning. We use stories to make sense of our world and to share the understanding with others. They are the signal within the noise. So, with that, are there any first-timers to Memoirs? Woo! Awesome! We love seeing first-timers. Thanks. I know what you guys are all thinking. You're thinking, what would I say if I was up on the Memoirs stage to share? So if you are interested in sharing a portion of your life story, please feel free to email us at memoirscos@gmail.com, or just go ahead and pull on my shoulder or Flip, and we will get to you and try to put you into the flow. So please go ahead and follow us on the socials. Facebook, Instagram, we are Memoirs COS, all one word. That's kind of easy. You can listen to our past episodes of Memoirs. Thanks to Flip, he has created our Memoirs True Stories Unfiltered podcast, where you can listen to it anywhere where you get your podcast from. Phones and subscribe. We release it on the second Monday of every month. We also have at our entrance desk, where Coral was checking a lot of you guys in, we have some merch stickers, which are these Memoir stickers that you see right here, these guys. They're cool. They go great on your water bottles that we know everyone here in Colorado loves to put stickers on their water bottles and all over the place. Yes, no single-use plastics. So a portion of the proceeds from these stickers go to benefit CASA, which is the Court-Appointed Special Advocate. And we also take donations. So we have a representative from CASA here today to talk to you a little bit about what they do and how they serve our community.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Hello, everyone. How are we doing? Good. Nice to see you. Thank you so much to Sophisticated Events and this event in particular, Memoirs, selling these stickers and benefiting CASA with some of those proceeds. So CASA stands for Court Appointed Special Advocates. My name is Crystal Erickson, and I'm the program director there. And we're actually just across the parking lot, so we're neighbors to Kinship Landing. And what we do at CASA is we recruit, we train, we empower, and we support community members who want to become advocates for children who have open child abuse and neglect cases. So I don't know if it was announced yet, but the theme tonight is what is normal. Is that right? Okay. What is normal? So I always like to tie the announcement to the theme. So each of the children that we serve, none of them are having a normal experience, because normal doesn't really exist, does it? So what an advocate can do is they can get to know each child and their unique situation, their specific needs, and they get to communicate all those things to the judge and the court, and then big decisions get made about their lives from there. So if anyone here is interested in learning more about CASA, either becoming an advocate, supporting our organization, please come and talk to me. I'm going to be out at a table in the back. I have some brochures, I have business cards, whatever you might be interested in. I'd love to chat with you more about that. So thank you very much for the opportunity to share. We really appreciate it. I'm being asked to also talk about the Hangar. We have various programs. The advocacy program is our primary program. We also have something called the Hangar, which is a boutique that we have in our building, and it is gently used clothing for kids ages 14 and older to come and shop. Everything's free though. And many times kids who are brought into the system or placed in foster care, they come with just the clothes on their back. And when someone gives them clothes, many times it's a garbage bag dropped at their feet, full of things that may or may not be in their size and may or may not be cool or stylish in any sort of way. And so in order to restore dignity to the youth in care, we've provided this store for them to come and shop. It's a beautiful store. It's set up like a boutique, and they get to shop in their own sizes, and they get to select their own clothing that can promote who they are and their identity. And it is all very cool. So if you ever want to donate your gently used, cool clothing items, if you don't know if you're cool or not, you can ask the person next to you, okay? Because we really only want cool stuff, all right? Okay. Oh, I just got a hanger donation right here. I'm going to say it's cool, so I'm going to take it with me. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks so much to CASA. We really appreciate the work that they are doing, helping shape the stories of those young people that still have a lot of time to shape their stories. Our next on my agenda here, we have our anonymous memoirs. So I am encouraging you all to fill in these guys that you will see on your tables. So if you feel so inclined as to go ahead and fill out a little anonymous memoir that is pertaining to the theme as to what is normal, and you can fold it up and stick it in the basket that is by the bar in the corner over there by the back door. We will anonymously read it in between speakers, and we will also go ahead and share them on our social medias. We have had quite a few pretty strong ones being shared with us from a couple of memoirs past. So I feel really amazing, the things that are coming out of you guys. So keep it coming, please. Thank you to Kinship Landing. Everyone put your hands together. Thank our wonderful host venue. This is only our second time here at Kinship, and we are loving it oh so much. Thank you so much, Katie, Matt, and the rest of the staff over there. We love you guys. Thank you for your hard work. This garden room is amazing, is it not? Make sure to grab a bite and a drink. This helps support events like Memoirs and this beautiful venue. Please take care of your wait staff as they are excited to take care of you. Thank you to the Memoirs teams. Thank to myself, to Coral, to Samantha, which is not here today, to Flip, my hubby Flip, Erica for helping us out with our social medias. And thank you, Colorado Springs. Give a hand to yourselves for coming out and supporting us again. Thank you. Thank you to our courageous storytellers. And tonight's theme and storytellers, our theme, as mentioned before, is what is normal. And our first storyteller for the night is my lovely assistant here, Mr. Flip Aguilera. His story is Mixing Salsa. Then we have Beata Seweryn-Reid. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I know I butchered your name, but you'll correct me when you come up, okay? Okay. And her story is To Be Normal or Not to Be. And then we have the wonderful, magical Jayne Perry with Secrets and Magics. So to start us off for the night, before I hand the mic over to Flip, the antidote for the night. We like to start off the night with an antidote as to what is normal. So in our current situation, where anxiety and depression are the norm, one may ask themselves, why would I want to be normal? Let us remember that every day contains a universe of potential. Let's exhaust it. Live and love so immensely that when death comes, there is nothing left to take. This rises above the norm. As Maya Angelou once said, if you are always trying to be normal, you will never know how amazing you can be. So with that, Flip Aguilera, come to the stage, please.
What is normal? Man, I'm loud. I'm 42 and I have no idea. And I was thrown onto this stage about 2 hours ago because our middle speaker ended up ill. So now here I am talking about what is normal. So the universe thought that it should drop me into this place on December 18th, 1978 at about 1 in the morning. Was dropped in Florida, and I was born with an 104 fever. I was in the hospital for about a month, and if you ask my sister, she says that explains everything. I didn't know that my upbringing was a little bit different until I became a teenager. And what made my upbringing so different? What made it different is, well, my mom, she worked at the county hospital, Jackson Memorial Hospital, which is where you send everybody when they don't have any money. They have to take care of you. And she met this lady one day whose name was Annie. And Annie was in the middle of a hallway basically having her baby. And my mother fought for her to get a room so that she can have the baby with the word we like to say, dignity, not just in the middle of a hallway. And you don't know when you do things like that what's going to happen, but Annie and my mom ended up becoming biffles. Right? They became really good friends. And as that relationship grew, Annie ended up meeting a man and ended up marrying this person. And because of this union, my upbringing was different. Not normal, if you say, but not in a bad way, in a very good way. So what is that way? So my whole life was grown up very musically. You know, my mom still to this day is a very devout Christian, and the church that she ended up going to was pastored by these two men called Richie Ray and Bobby Cruz. Bobby Cruz Jr., the son of Bobby Cruz, is who ended up marrying Annie. And I didn't know it at the time growing up, but Richie Ray and Bobby Cruz are legends in the salsa music world. They were part of a band called the Fania All-Stars, which is the band that coined the term salsa. When people think of salsa music, they coined that term because what they did was they said, we're going to take people from Puerto Rico, from Cuba, from Venezuela, from Panama, we're going to mix them all together and we're going to make a salsa. And that's how that came to be, that term. So again, I did not know it, but growing up in Miami, where I grew up, you know, salsa is a very big thing. It's a very big cultural thing. And around the age of 13, 14, 15, people would be like, oh man, there's these guys, you know, and I was listening to this, and my parents listened to this music, and they like these people, Richie Ray and Bobby Cruz. And I'd be like, what are you talking about them for? Those are like my people. Actually, Bobby's wife was the person who would babysit me and Katie, the daughter that was almost born in the hallway. And, you know, so we just grew up around all these people that I did not know were who they were. So as I got older and started to realize, oh, I know Hector Lavoe, and I know Willie Colon, and so these names are huge in the salsa world. So that was how I started my life. And you know, music has been a very big part of my life, so much so that I got into it in middle school. Actually, my whole life, really. My whole life was just surrounded by music. And I started dancing in middle school, too. So then I started to put the playing the music with the listening and dancing of the music together. And at about middle school is when I really started to take it a little bit serious, right? I really wanted to start to learn, how do you do all those turns that you do? And again, living in Miami, it's part of the culture. Like, there's families, you go to a Puerto Rican party and everybody's gonna be dancing. You go to a Cuban party, everybody's gonna be dancing. So I would look at all the people who were really dancing good and be like, what are you doing and how can I do that, right? So I started to learn how to dance, and then in middle school, I actually started to learn how to play trumpet. So these things are happening, and I'm getting better at trumpet. I've always been kind of introduced to Latin percussion and nation. Out of high schools to New York, Chicago, New Orleans, LA, and played in all these jazz festivals, meeting all these people. And during that time, I was still going to church and all that. And Richie and Bobby noticed that, you know, I was playing the trumpet pretty good, and eventually I ended up playing with them on the stage. And, you know, what was amazing, and I don't know if this is a normal church experience, probably not, but every church experience that I had growing up was basically a salsa concert put on by salsa legends. And, you know, it wasn't just like, you know, we're sitting here quiet. It was a throwdown. every single Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, twice on Sunday. So that was my life growing up there. So then, you know, in high school, I'm having this experience of being in this jazz band and then being over here with these people who are legends. And eventually, I messed that all up. And how did I do that? So, in my junior year of high school, right before we were going to go to Switzerland and play in the Montreux Jazz Festival, I got caught skipping class by my band teacher. And that's not the bad part. Whatever. That's not even the bad part. So I end up skipping class. She catches me. And later, during sixth period, which was the jazz band class, she calls me out in front of everybody. And me, being an egotistical 16-year-old, turned to her, and I was like, "You're just a bitch, and you don't want me to have fun," and da-da-da-da-da, right in front of the whole class. So then she just turned to me and said, "You just got yourself out of going to Switzerland." And of course, I held a grudge, I want to say for about 3-4 years after that. But eventually, I let my ego subside, and I went to a homecoming game just to apologize to her and tell her, "You did the right thing. I was an idiot. I shouldn't have been skipping." So again, I don't know that my life has been normal by any stretch of those imaginations with all of that, you know, all that, let's call it, I had famous people around me all the time. And that was normal for me. And it's so interesting because as I've grown older and had more experiences, like in Miami, I had my own personal training business, and I was coaching A-list celebrities and high caliber athletes and all these types of people. And to them, to me, I was always normal. And I remember, I don't know, do any of you know who Kate Del Castillo is? You do if you see her face, because she's been in a gajillion movies. But she would be like saying Angelina Jolie in Mexico, right? She came from parents that were high-level actors and actresses, and she now is a high-level actress. She was, I don't know, there's so many movies. Bad Boys 3, she was the bad person. In Bad Boys 3, there's the, what's the show? The drug show. What? No. No. Keep going. This is interactive right now, Memoirs. We're interactive. Something La Reina del Sur. La Reina del Sur. So she played her in the Mexican version of that. And when she played that role, she came to Miami to film that. And somehow or another, I ended up being her trainer for that. And I remember telling her, because again, being around famous people was never that crazy to me. And one day she turned to me and she's like, "My staff and I, we really like you because you treat us like we're normal." And I'm like, "Cool. Do some push-ups." And you know, after our relationship started getting a little more where we can talk to each other, I asked her one day, I'm like, "You have fame, you have what everybody thinks they want. It's like, what do you want?" And this chick turns to me and says, "I want to go to an anonymous island and have anonymous sex with as many people as possible." And then I turned to her, I'm like, "Damn it, we know each other." So again, being around that caliber of person never really put me in a place of thinking that they were anything other than another human being. And going back to high school, what made me, and my ex-wife now, Tony, I don't really like to call her my ex-wife, she's got a name, her name is Tony. What's funny about that is that when we were in high school, although we never spoke to each other, we hated each other. Because she was in the opposite club than I was in. Right? I was in AC, super cool club, and she was in like the nerdy Pan Am club. And she was dating the star baseball player in high school and all that stuff. And eventually they broke up, which was like a school scandal, right? Because they were together the whole time they were there until her senior year. And I was 1 year older than her. But I'm bringing this back around to just music and how music can connect people. And although we supposedly didn't like each other because we've never had spoken to each other, my senior year, a friend and I, we put together a salsa, like, you know, they do talent shows at the end of high school, or towards the end. We put on a dance in the talent show of Cuban salsa dancing. And according to her, when she used to tell this story, the second I grabbed her to dance, she melted and that was it and that was over. She's like, oh my God. So you just never know the power of salsa dancing, you see? So you better mix it up with some salsa. So for now, I think that's all the story I have for the top of my head with 2 hours of preparation. So I hope that it was fun and engaging. And thank you, Memoirs, for allowing anybody to come up here, be vulnerable, and share, and just sitting here and listening. So thank you guys very much.
Since I'm hosting, now he gets to be my Vanna White, and he's going to go and check to see if any of you guys haven't put any anonymous memoirs in the basket. I mean, come on. That's rude. Like, no, it's not rude. Not to leave an anonymous memoir. It's not rude. It's good. It's good. So we are going to take a break, 10, 15 minutes, refill your drinks, grab some more food to eat, and we will be back here with our next storyteller. Thank you. All right, so we just checked that basket back there, and I still do not have a single anonymous memoirs. I'm gonna take it personal, like seriously, come on. I know you guys have secrets inside of you that you want to share. So, by the time our next speaker finishes, there's going to be a few of them in there. I know there are. I'm going to manifest it. So, please join me in welcoming to the stage our next speaker, Beata, which will tell us how to pronounce her last name so that I don't mess it up again.
Hi, my name is Beata Seweryn-Reid. Beata. But Flip, did you say it's in English? No, it's my speech. No, did you say that I supposed to give my speech in English? Yes? Oh, Lord. I'm not sure if I'm ready for that. Polish, let's go. Polish. All right. Have you ever been told that you are not normal because you wanted to live differently? Yes. Have you ever judged yourself for being not normal enough for those around you, for the external expectations of you? I see you, Frank. You see, I was born behind the Iron Curtain in a small village in southern Poland, the youngest of four, wanting more out of life than what communism was offering. I had a dream to taste life beyond the invisible walls that were separating me from the rest of the world. But my dream was interrupted by this thing called life, because life happens to all of us. When I was 7, I got into a car accident, and I suffered a serious brain injury. The doctor's prognosis was very limited in terms of my potential to live a normal life. It's interesting looking back on it now. Now, in a moment of stillness, when I think about the accident, I don't remember the sounds of the screeching tires as the truck careened toward my father and me. I can't recall the smells of the leaking auto fluids or the burned tires that left long streaks on the pavement. Even the trip to the hospital has faded in my memory. But what still remains clear today what has been all too vivid for many years now are the words that were said to me by those who surrounded me in the weeks and months following the crash. You are not normal. You won't achieve anything in your life. Stop dreaming. For many years, these words were like old recordings in my head. I hated them. The words, not the people. Every time I went to the doctor for a checkup, I prayed for him to say, "You are fine. You are normal. Go and do great things." That permission never came from him, and I did not give it to myself for years either. And I wanted to be normal. The entire world wanted me to be normal, so I wanted to be normal for the world. Mom? Mom, am I normal? Mom, I just want to be normal like everybody else. Mom, help me. And my mother with compassion, my mother with understanding, my mother wanting to inspire and encourage me, said, "Kochanie," she said, "baby, you don't want to be like everybody else because you are not normal. You are special. You are extraordinary. You are God's miracle child. And it's you who decides what is normal for you." I was young, and there I was, living with this limited vision of myself, put there by everyone else, the doctors, family, society, and my mother when she spoke because of her maturity. My mother when she spoke because of her inspiration when she spoke, and the conviction with which she spoke. She freed me up from the limiting thoughts that were imposed on me. I did not say anything back to my mom that day, but in my heart, I made a statement. "Mom, I will make you proud. I will make you proud, Mom." Look at me. I'm standing here sharing my story with strangers. Well, we all have something, don't we? Now, I was in an actual car accident, but how many of you feel like you were in emotional car wreck when you were busy planning your life and your loved one got sick, your marriage failed, or COVID came and you got fired from the job that you dedicated your entire life to? This thing called life, I'm telling you, can make you bitter or can't make you better. You can go through it or you can grow through it. Let me tell you a little secret. Come closer, lean in. Come on. This thing that you are experiencing right now, or the one that you are avoiding for years, is not going to leave you until you grow through it. Did you hear what I just said? You cannot just go through life. As my mother would say, "Nya, nya, nya. No, no, no." You have to grow through it. Let me leave you with this. But a reality to be experienced. And to experience life, you have to develop your own kind of normal. Today I'm here to tell you, do not let the world decide what is normal for you. Define it for yourself. Start where you are. Use what you have. And do not stop until you get there. Thank you.
Flip. Basket. Cora. Yay. Beata. You get to read a story. You get to read something here. Oh, there's a little tiny one. Hold on. Look. Let's see. Right here. Boop, boop, boop. Let's see. If I can read.
I just started dating a woman who is older than me. Is this normal? Yes, and I know who you are.
Woo! All right. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us. How powerful was that, huh? Yes. So I think that we have another 10, 15 minutes to fill up our drinks, grab some more food, mingle, speak. Oh, hold on. This guy's got something to say.
Yes. So how many of you were here last month? And you remember that we had music. So I'm going to put this out there into the universe to see if it comes back. But one of the things I want to do with Memoirs is I want local musicians to play, improvise. So she just told her story. I would like a musician to come up here and match the emotion with whatever. It could be a cover, it could be original, just match that energy. But for that, I need a sponsor. So if anybody knows any companies out there that would like to sponsor something like that, I'm planting seeds. Now I just got to throw some water on it. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Flip, for that. Yes, we're putting it out in the universe, manifesting again, and we shall see you back in a few moments. Thank you. It's Memoirs time again. Time to focus, children. Coral, can you please bring to the front that basket again, that lovely basket, because I'm sure that there's going to be a few more. And Flip here will be able to read one, since he was not able to read one earlier.
Don't they hear my voice enough as it is? I grew up in the church and I thought it was normal. I thought my version of religion was normal. I grew up, left home, and discovered there were many other beliefs. I decided to develop my own beliefs, and that became my new normal. Ooh.
Thank you for sharing, the anonymous person, whoever you are. It might be placed on our social medias now. So watch out for it. Memoirs COS, Facebook, Instagram. So what is normal? I'll share a little bit of my upbringing as well. Since we're lacking that one speaker, I want to put a little bit of myself out there. And this is completely off the cuff. So I was born July 26, 1981. Yes, I'm 40. I turned 41 this year. And I was born with my right femur shorter than my left. Yeah. So my mom took me to a doctor and he told me to amputate my leg. And back in the 80s, you know, doctors were like God. It's like, why would we even go there, and why would we ask for another opinion? But my mom said, no, I'm not going to do that. She took me to a second doctor. The second doctor told her, and she was like, no, I'm not going to do this. So here I was, a little girl, and my leg was shorter. She was putting, she had to take me to a shoe cobbler and put very large lift on one of my shoes. And that was not good for socialization as a child. Kids can be mean, as you probably know. And so someone at her job was like, hey, you should take her to this doctor at Miami Children's Hospital, and he's doing some really great things. And my mom was like, I'm not going to take her to him. He's going to tell me the same thing. Begrudgingly, months passed, and she took me to the doctor. And the doctor, Dr. Schaffelberger and Dr. King at Miami Children's Hospital, told her, thank goodness that you did not amputate her leg. And I don't have anything for her right now, but let's keep in touch, and I'll call you when we do. And when I was 5 years old, sure enough, that doctor, he made good on his promise, and he called my mom, and he was like, I don't know if this is going to work, but we can try it. And my mom was like, sign her up. Let's go. And I've had 5 surgeries on my legs. This is a short story, just a little tiny tidbit. So long story short, I've had 5 surgeries on my legs. My leg is still a little shorter, and that's because they didn't know what the hell these guys were doing. And one of the surgeries, the last surgery, my right femur healed bowed. And if you would be able to straighten your bone, which you can't, then I would actually have been perfect. But I'm not. But I kind of like it that way, not being normal. Because what is normal, right? And with that, I will give the stage over to our next presenter, Mrs. Jayne Perry.
Good evening. I'm going to do something I never do tonight, which is read from notes, and you'll see why in a second. Once upon a time, in New York's mystical Catskill Mountains, I was born the son of a magician. So to paraphrase Steve Martin, it wasn't always easy for me. You see, I was born a middle-class white male. That's how this was supposed to start. When Maritza and I first talked about presenting at Memoirs, I hesitated. I'm a pretty private person, and June is a fully packed month for me. I had a brand new one-woman experimental magic theater show premiering at Denver Fringe, which was last weekend. And right after that, in quick succession over the next couple of weeks, I had appearances at Puppet Palooza and a couple of nightclub appearances coming up. I worried about writing a new presentation. But it's hard for me to turn down a chance to speak in front of a crowd. Right, Frank? I reasoned that I could dust off some old talks, push them together, and they would be fine, a piece of cake. So I agreed. And honestly, it's hard to tell Flip and Maritza no. Some folks out there understand what I'm talking about. Flip asked me for a title. And I said, hey, let's call it Secrets in Magic, because that seemed to summarize my life. After all, not only was my dad a magician, but his uncle was a magician before him. His uncle taught Dad, Dad taught me, and I've worked with some of my children. It's a 4-generation tradition. We've had lots of laughs. I used to call my show Laughs, Wonders, and Illusions, but the reality is there were also a lot of secrets. The reason I'm reading this instead of talking off the cuff, which is my norm, and some of you have seen me before and know that that's true, this presentation changed today at about 3:30. It's because the politics of the last couple of weeks made me change this. Now, don't be too concerned. I'm not here to talk about politics. But I want to share the emotional impact of some of our national debates and how they impact a marginalized person. I realized then I should have named this talk Secrets, Magic, and Fear. And so I rewrote this, like I say, today at 3 o'clock. So that's why I'm using notes. I really hate this, but I really need to. I was born a white, middle-class male. But my reality is very different from that. I am white, but my grandmother was at least half Lenape Native American from New York. My grandfather was an Irish immigrant. All of my grandparents were either working class or just plain poor. My grandfather was a day worker all of his 82 years. Despite some, I like to call them anatomical anomalies, I am emotionally, mentally, and spiritually female. I live in a society where a significant, politically active, vocal minority wants to outlaw me. One of my earliest memories is to take my t-shirt off and have it hang at the top of my head so that it would hang down over my head and I would have long hair. Because I was born in the 60s and everybody wore a crew cut. Most nights I fell asleep pretending to be a girl. I remember telling my mom that I wanted to be a girl, or maybe that I wanted to be a mother, and being told I was a boy and that couldn't be changed. I grew up in a time and place where being out as a transgender woman is still dangerous. I hid in a magical world. I read J.R.R. Tolkien and C.S. Lewis and watched Wizard of Oz, and I thought, okay, maybe magic isn't real, but why does that matter? So I became Dad's apprentice. I learned about sleight of hand and magical methods and grand illusions and how to stand and move and create magical moments like this. I should point out that this does not always work. Now, when you go to magic school, one of the things they teach you is not to cringe. It really doesn't always work. This is an illusion. It's not real. We all agreed to take a moment away from reality and say, hey, they stuck a needle through the balloon. Of course, it turns out the balloon is real, and so is the needle. You okay? As the master magician, my dad impressed upon me the importance of keeping secrets, and I became very, very good at them, more than he ever imagined. We lived in the country in New York. Anybody from New York? Anybody from upstate? It is Oneonta, so Kingston. So we're practically neighbors. From here, it's like the backyard. It's just like here. There's like, plains and mountains. Mountains are about this tall. And it rains all the time. But I did grow up in the country. And there weren't a lot of kids there. And the only kids there were biological girls. And they had no time for me. In fact, the only time they ever had for me was when they needed a victim. Now, I'm not going to go into the details. I am very lucky in that I'm very resilient. My parents sent me to Catholic school. Now, before somebody was worried, let me be clear that while I'm no longer a Catholic, I have the respect for the Catholic Church and its traditions. It's just not for me. But Catholic school was hard. Back in the 60s and the 70s, the boys and girls were kept very separate. It was two separate cultures. I was afraid of the nuns. I wet the bed for years. I was at school and I learned just how much I wasn't really a boy. You see, the boys were aggressive and competitive and sometimes violent. Not all of them, not even most of them. It was a small minority, but that minority used intimidation as young as the first grade. And the rest of us, well, we did what we had to do to survive. I was one of the smallest kids. I learned a lot of things in Catholic school. Love my neighbor, that God loves all his children, to hide who I really was, to fight, not well and not fairly, and to use my mouth as a defense and when needed as an offense. I learned about fear and what it's like to have two kids kick your ass together. My way out of trouble, how to bully onto somebody else, something I'm not very proud of, and be relentless. It wasn't natural. I learned to hide my thoughts of being a girl. I lived a boy's life. I played Little League. I pushed feminine things and thoughts away. At night, alone in my bed, I still thought about girls' things. And children and cook and hunt. Just like my mom. I wanted to wear girls' clothes and play house and dolls and all the feminine things that are forbidden to me. None of that ever changed, despite some very real and substantive efforts. It became very complicated at puberty, when my body changed the wrong way. I found that I was attracted to girls and occasionally to boys, but I never acted on that. I suppressed that. It was a matter of survival. Back then, trans and gay were not understood as different things, and they were both a way to get beat up. As a high school student, I fell in love a couple times. But to one woman in particular, who I married, and we raised our family together. After more than 25 years, we separated and divorced. Our children had grown up, and we drifted apart. My gender never came up because I hid the whole time. Well, except when we played like Dungeons and Dragons, I always played the girl character. And costume parties. It would be way funnier if it wasn't true. It wasn't a question of trust, as much as it was the fear of losing a family, a job, and friends, and more. During that time, I had many. I was a social manufacturing worker, a program manager, college professor. Those were the. My dad and I worked together until he passed at 54. Outside, not about politics or religion or sex, loved and respected each other, and we just avoided those subjects. Even today, when I perform, I don't talk about politics or religion or gender or sex. I avoid those topics out of respect for my audience. Later, we're very close. I never felt more a part of a relationship and a team. They were the first person I came out to. Together, look out world. Interests in leadership, art, in sports and creativity. We try to make the world a better place for everyone we meet and for those we haven't. I think most people do. We enjoy and embrace our life together. Years after Dad passed, I decided to do what he and I had always talked about, which is performing magic full-time. After more than 30 years in the tech industry and secondary or post-secondary ed, I put together a traditional top hat magic show. You know the one. The magician comes out, he's got this big box, it's all colorful, he shows it empty inside and out, closes the doors and starts pulling out yards and yards and yards of scarves, or bunnies, or doves. Did this all over the Northeast. But we lived in a state, well, I've skipped a spot here. I told a lot of silly jokes. I brought audience members up. There were lots of laughs. Everyone was full, and a great time was had by all. I didn't much like the fooling part. Unlike many people, I don't believe it's a magician's job to entertain by deception. Great magic happens when the magician and the audience work together to create a world different from our daily lives, an escape, a place where we can experience and share a sense of wonder. And at the time, I lived in a state that had a very, very strong anti-LGBT activism. And that state was surrounded by states that had a very, very active anti-LGBT activism. For many years, I performed as Jim Perry Magic across the Northeast and the Upper Midwest. I'm proud of those shows. I love working with those wonderful audiences. But I reached a point where that style of magic and the pressure of hiding my true self limited my performances. So I took a couple months off to create some new offerings featuring Jayne and to redesign the show I wanted to perform. I wanted to talk about strange tales and the paranormal. I have one here near the end. What if that balloon had some feelings and emotions? What if we could perceive its trauma and pain? It's like the third thing I did at Fringe. It was a bloody mess you don't want to know. It's true. What is it about my father's ventriloquist doll that still makes me jealous? He knew my dad before I did. You don't know what it's like to grow up with a wooden older brother. Eventually, I came out to my children and my closest friends at 57 years old. That was a long, long time in a very dark and very scary closet. It's lonely in there. And there are people hoping to expose you, ridicule you, beat you, kill you. I was afraid. When I took the time off from the magic show, I just finished writing it, and then, with me, COVID hit. COVID hit. And that's when I came out to the world, because I had learned from our politicians that when something else is going on, is a perfect time to hide your agenda. By the way, if you don't believe me, take a good look at the decisions of the last couple weeks. Oh, and by the way, in the middle of COVID, Lynn and I moved to Colorado Springs to a house that we never got to see before we moved in. On the move, I started to live my true identity. I came out fully. In case you're wondering, I've had all the right documents done. The State Department knows who I am. I changed my name legally, my license, all those things. Because I was tired of hiding. The support that I got from family and friends, and the vast majority of people who I've never met before, has been overwhelming. I'll tell you that I've only had 1 or 2 bad incidences, and you know, God bless them. Let them live their lives. The new show started last March, as we started to come out of COVID. A couple of folks are here from 1 Million Cup. That very first talk I did there was the first time I had done magic in more than 2 years. With the help of Flip and Maritza, I got to do some things over to Kowadi. Please destroy those tapes. They were terrible. They were terrible. The new show features strange tales, paranormal experiences, and sometimes just still some top hat magic because, folks, I like to have fun. They're not about politics or religions or sexuality. They're about enjoying a moment away from the rigors and challenges of everyday life. After COVID, who thinks we need that? By the way, it didn't take just COVID. We all need that. We all need it all the time. Some of my shows are for families. Most of them are for more mature audiences. That's so I can say a bad word here and there. Actually, you heard all of them so far. The idea behind my shows is to feature our collective creativity and imagination. So why did I change this talk this morning? Because there's folks out there. Some are legislators, some are judges, some are office holders, some are just powerful people, and they've moved from using the rhetoric of fear, which has always been a part of American politics, and they use that to gain popularity. They've moved from that to actual actions and enforcement of that fear. And they're preying on individuals and small groups despite the fact that the majority of Americans disagree with them. Because there are those who would abandon this most important American ideal, which is that thoughtful people can disagree on some topics and work together on others. And that makes me afraid. So I had to say it. I had to talk about the debilitating aspects of fear. It's not magic to try to provide the greatest amount of personal autonomy and security to all of our citizens. And I have to tell you, I believe that deeply, but it's not my life's mission. I'm hoping it's one of you. My mission is to provide an escape from that reality, if even just for a few minutes, to end the fear by providing a wonder or a laugh, by sharing a story or an illusion. So here's another story, an opportunity to share something together. I'm going to walk away from the mic for 1 second. I'm going to put this deck of cards on the table. I was doing a show, and at this show, I was supposed to use cards for the next effect, and I couldn't find the deck. Now, if you knew me a little better, you'd know that I'm not exactly sure where my keys are right now either. I have a great idea of where we need to be in 5 years, but I really, really don't know where my keys are right now. I'm standing in front of the audience, and there's a pause, and I feel a tap on my shoulder. There's no one there. Now, I told you that my dad was a magician, and I believe to this day that Dad is watching over my shows. Now, I'm not saying that Dad was there that night, but the next thing I felt was a strong hand on my shoulder, and no one was there. And I heard a whisper, "Use the invisible deck." Okay? An invisible deck. Now, I did walk over to this table earlier tonight to warn them that I would pick on them. I don't pick on people. Can you do me a favor? Somebody get ready to catch this. You ready? What's your name? Erica, you ready? Got your hands ready? Here we go. I'm going to throw it like a softball. That'll give you some time to get underneath it and catch it. Here we go. Here we go. Nice. I hate it when they're funnier than me. Sorry, man. Never mind. Here's what I need you to do. I need you to take the invisible deck out of the box. It must have been in a box or there'd be an invisible mess. Got it? I need you to just take and look at the cards. Can you see the cards? Turn to somebody else at the table and say those famous words, "Take a card, any card." Look at that card. "Hi, I'm up here." There we go. What's your name? Rebecca. Rebecca, I need you to take and look at that card. You see the card? Rebecca, I need you to know the suit and value of the card. So the suit is spades, hearts, clubs, or diamonds. And the value is ace, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, jack, king, queen, king, ace. You got it? You sure? Be sure and don't change on me because you're going to mess everything up and I'm going to go in the corner and cry. Okay? Take your card and put it upside down in the deck. And yet she's got the deck. Take that and put it back in the box. Throw the box up here, and remember I was not very good at Little League. Rebecca, right? Rebecca, I realized at this point in the show that I felt another tap on the shoulder. And when I felt that tap, I heard the voice again. The voice said, "The deck of cards is right there the whole time." I'm going to take these back. Here, thanks for being funny. Rebecca, I need to know what card you chose. Yeah, now. The Ace of Hearts. Because that would be an easy one. The Ace of Hearts. Rebecca, pick a different card. Spirits don't always get stuff right. Plus, if I find out who's messing my deck, there's going to be trouble. King? Queen of Hearts. That's an excellent choice. It turns out that in this face-up deck, there's one card that's upside down. The Queen of Hearts. When I find the guy who sold me this deck, I think we need those moments where we can just relax and laugh, where the magician can have a deck of cards where there's no ace of hearts. I got no idea. Did you mess with my deck? No, sorry. I get my money back. I should have counted them beforehand. That was my fault. I'm sorry. A time when we get away, we can escape. It's a tough time. It's going to be a tough time, folks. What you need to do is you need to keep your perspective. You need to fight for the things that you're fighting for. And you need to take a moment to escape. That's my job. My job's to help you escape. I've been doing it since I was little. And I love it. I want to say that it's so important. Take this time to enjoy our lives and see the wonder. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jayne, for all your wonders and secrets. We appreciate you very much. Oh, hold on. Don't go anywhere just yet. We've got Coral coming. You've got to do a little reading of a little secret, someone else's secret now. Pick a card, any card.
I'm sleeping in tomorrow. The writing's so small.
I'll bet you it's easier to say no now.
Dude, I don't even know you. You're going to have to buy me a drink first. Did I tell you I specialize in hecklers? It says, after traveling for years, and hopping from temp job to temp job, I finally decided to buy my first house. I'm 33. Dude, you ain't done nothing for years. I'm 33, and now I held the same job for over a year for the first time since 2012. I get that one. I closed on my house a month ago today. Someone wrote on my Facebook, "Congratulations, I can't believe you finally settled down." A week later, I quit my job. Oh, my camp mat is in my backpack. Tomorrow I fly to Alaska. Screw normal. Whoever you are, you're the best.
Testing, testing. All right. So, we have come to the end, everyone. And I have a little something to leave you with. Don't cry, it's okay. We'll be back again next month. Oh, great, thanks. That makes me feel so much better. All right. So, okay. So, next month's theme. I know you guys are all ready and wanting to know, right? Yeah? All right. So, next month's theme. I am free because I know that I alone am morally responsible for everything I do. I am free, no matter what rules surround me. If I find them tolerable, I tolerate them. If I find them too obnoxious, I break them. I am free because I know that I alone am morally responsible for everything I do. Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it to our children in the bloodstream. It must be fought for, protected, and handed on to them to do the same. June's theme, freedom. Sorry, July's theme. July's theme, freedom. Next Memoirs, True Stories Unfiltered, will be Monday, July 18th at 6:30 p.m. right here at Kinship Landing. Thank you all. Hope to see you all again. Have a good night. Continue to drink and eat and be merry. And yeah, come and say hi.